looking back with regret, looking back at what was, what could have been, what should have been, trying to change yesterday, turning your back on your own assets, creating insecurities. Then the steps that follow on for the year. In this position, it's how you see yourself. Influences, hopes and fears, culmination. Your experiences are there, victory will be yours, so stop thinking so much about what could go wrong. It's the only thing that can hold you back. You have to face what's really bothering you more than anything else, which is the unknown and your imagination working overtime. There's only two cards of intuition in the deck. You have them both. For too long, doubts have been creeping in, fears, areas of self-deception, imagination, intuition, outside forces and outside influences. Which way to go? What to do for the best? Feeling stuck, sleepless nights, and decisions. But it is the doubts and fears from the past that get transferred onto the present situation. Imagination takes over, transfers it forward, stories go round and round inside your head. What could happen if you go one way? What could happen if you go the other? You've been trying to deal with what hasn't even happened yet, trying to deal with the intangible. You have decisions. And the time to face your doubts and fears and trust your intuition. It will never let you down. This is all influenced by the fact that you do have a good mind, a good imagination, and you've been looking at choices, options, questioning your motives. You've been going through a great deal of confusion. That confusion is about to come to an end. Things will become clear soon, crystal clear. And you'll come back with answers to so many questions you've been asking yourself. The Hermit represents the counselor of the deck, you taking counsel with yourself. You're independent. You can be a little stubborn at times. You listen to others, you weigh things up. But you end up doing exactly what you want to do. You're always there to help other people, but you don't always accept help so readily yourself. Hermit's dressed in grey because you're always weighing up the black and the white. This star is the star of inspiration. And it is the inspiration you can only get from going inside yourself. The star is the light. And your hopes and fears, well, you are something of a perfectionist. You need praise, appreciation when you do something well. You judge others by your standards are high. You don't suffer fools gladly. Large problems you'll accept and handle, but little things, they really irritate you. You can be a bit too critical of yourself, sometimes feeling you could do more, you could do better. And when things go wrong in certain situations, you wonder if you could have handled them any differently, even if it's circumstances. There is always a price to pay for perfection, to make the move, to make the change you're thinking of making, and it will be perfect. You do not want to be in a position or a situation much longer that isn't giving you what you want. You're not prepared to settle for less. It will be a time for no more compromise. Greater levels of understanding going on inside you than you've had for a long time will enable you to handle your situation in a skillful and a masterful manner, no compromise. You want justice. And maybe you feel there's been an injustice, an imbalance, but you want justice. And life has a funny way of going one way and then it will go the other. The balance will always get redressed somewhere along the line. There's a rhyme, a reason for everything. What goes around comes around. Justice held with the same double-edged sword, that courage and that conviction for victory. And a time for you to weigh things up, be fair to yourself. If you're not fair to yourself, how can you expect any situation to be fair to you? You are about to take the crossroad. You're at a crossroad right now. You've been looking at your life recently from a different angle, asking yourself a question, and the question is this: how long do I remain in this position? I feel my life is on hold, suspended. Am I making a martyr of myself? Is this self-sacrifice? Or am I ready to take that crossroad? Yes, suspension will come to an end. The crossroad will be taken. You've been pulling yourself apart for too long. The driver of the chariot represents you, it represents your ego, the two horses, life's opposites. They've been pulling you apart, the positive and negative. The emotional, the physical side of yourself, the logical, the intuitive. One horse desire, but one horse restraints. And here, your ego becomes strong, those horses come together, life's opposites come together, yes. It will become a major breakthrough. Motivation, drive, direction. There will be decisions. And you will be looking at where the best potential is for you. And there is potential there. Any questions?
So this is my boy Ivor here. They just given me the tarot reading. And yeah, I think I'm going to have to go home and review it it was all a little bit quick, and I'm not very awake. But yeah, I don't really know what to think of it, to be honest. There's a couple of things he said that kind of rang true to my situation, and the more I think about it, could they ring true to anyone? You know, that's why I want to go home and re-listen to it, and then think of someone else, and could that apply to them, sort of thing. I don't know. Well, we'll see. It was like I say, I don't believe in it, but that's what made me do it.
Whatever your name is, ready for the big surprise.